Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how outbound knowledge is being commoditized as of right now. This was inspired by a tweet by Caden, and I'm just going to go through kind of the implications, what this means for the market, and what this means for you specifically on how to proceed in the market going forward. If you don't know this, it's going to be one of the things that either makes or breaks your businesses because, well, the people that are doing this and they know this they have a competitive advantage against you. Their margins are higher, their costs are lower, and also their team, everything is more streamlined. So, what this is looking like right now is the market. We just want to pretend the market looks kind of like a staircase, right? So, I'm just going to build out a really easy looking staircase that looks kind of like this. And the market, as of about, I would say, 2, maybe 3 years ago, I remember this, where people were using, oh, that's wrong. People were using Google plus Microsoft, right? And this was the basic principles of the market is okay, if you want to do cold email, you do Google plus Microsoft direct from them. And this costs around $7.20. Whoopsies. $7.20 as of right now. And that was what, like 20, I want to say 2022, give or take. And then the market is now adjusting. So let's say this was like 2021/22. We'll just do that. Next, it was then resellers, specifically for Google. And this was people that went through and they were like, okay, I know ways of getting these inboxes for 3 to 4 USD pop. And this was them using legacy. This was them using EDU, or it was them using nonprofits. And what you're going to notice is the businesses that were using, let's say, direct resellers, their margins were cut by about 40%, or they increased margins by about 40% using resellers. If you're going direct to Google and Microsoft, you're not capturing that $3 an inbox. So these people could send double the volume per client for the exact same cost. And what the market then from there was then obviously there was like an SMTP, but people still kind of don't really use that. They still stick with Google, Microsoft. And then the market started adjusting. And it then went up to Microsoft, right? MSF, Jesus. And this is, I don't mean Microsoft as in the resellers, but Microsoft as in, hey, we're going to put 100 inboxes on one domain for you. And the market was taken by storm for this because the main guys on the market, I like the ones I keep hearing about is Mailer, and I've used them, and I think they have a pretty significant chunk of the market right now. And they charge about $90 a domain. But for that $90, you get 100 inboxes, and that maps out to about 90 cents an inbox, give or take. And this then leads on to, let's say, chunking up to the market in terms of market understanding. The people in the market are now starting to realize that they're being squeezed. The margins on these inboxes are so high. The reason I know this is because I do this. I have people on this infrastructure as well. It's the same thing, right? Everybody's pretty much running the exact same infra, like at all stages. And people are going to start like these people. Mailer started taking business from these guys. Resellers started taking business from Google and Microsoft. So if we look at this now, what does the next stage look like? It's people trying to figure out what Mailer are doing, or Hypertide, or all these other people, right? It's trying to figure out what they're actually doing, and all they're doing, and Caden got this perfect, is if you're sourcing inboxes from cold email from main vendors, you're screwing yourself. Anybody, blah, 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 blah. Basically, you sign up as a certified Microsoft partner, you get the tenants, and then from the tenants, you buy domains, and then you can put 100 inboxes per tenant. If you get, like, if you permit, say, 3 senders and create 100 inboxes, you use something called shared inboxes. So what this is saying is the market is now sophisticating more. And the people that are making the money that's going to take the market share from Mailer is going to be the people that set up a software with a licensing cost, and then they sell the tenants on the back end. And like I'm already seeing this. I'm talking to people that like other than me which are also going to do this. And I've talked to people that have gone to attempt to do this themselves as well. And what they're basically doing is they're saying, hey, pay me a licensing fee of $500. I know you don't want to go and set up these inboxes yourself. I can still save you a ton of cash on the back end, right? And what they're doing is with the tenants, they're selling the tenants for like $15, $10 on the back end, and they cost between around 6 USD, because my own are like they're billed in euros, so I pay like €5 or something. So they cost about $5. I say $5, whatever, €5, $5 to $6 on the like actual acquisition cost, and that's because they're Microsoft partners. But they're selling them to people at 2x, 3x the cost, and then they make their margin that end, and people will end up spending about the same amount or more. It just depends, because think about it. If you have a client and before, let's say you had a budget of $1,000, right? At the beginning of 2021, 22, you were paying $7 in inbox, right? This would get you roughly like, I don't know, 125 inboxes or something. At this stage, this would get you between 200 to 225 inboxes. At this stage, this would get you nearly 1,100 inboxes. And at this stage, you would, with $1,000, I think you would get like 10,000 inboxes. And this is just the natural nature of the market and the sophistication and people understanding where the market is going. Because once you know, you then ride the wave. Because my first suggestion would be build the software to sell to people. That would be my first suggestion if we were writing this. And that's what I was like, when I was looking, I was like, bro, this is so genius. But you're not the software. Like, truthfully, you don't have enough knowledge. You don't, like, unless you have tech knowledge and you've built out the back end and you can start licensing this to people. You're not the software. You cannot do this. So the goal is you then ride the wave. So maybe you go to them and you're like, hey, I have a distribution base, which then leads into my next point of making a bigger distribution base. But you go to them and you say, hey, I have a brand, a distribution base, which is brand, like a brand is timeless. You know, if you can consistently keep up with your brand and keep up with everything, you can basically sell anything. And people will go through and they'll be like, this is sick. I trust you. You've provided value in the past. That means value in the future as of right now, XYZ, one of those things. So this is the brand or the licensing setup with the tenants, and these guys are making their margin on that. And they're growing. They're making like word of mouth significantly. And I've received messages from people that are selling these like mailer as shared inboxes, and they're saying like, hey, we're giving out XYZ a shot, and like we're just gonna give these guys a shot. Unfortunately, we're going to be canceling your services, even though you've been very good to us. And businesses don't really care, like like there's a certain loyalty, but if they think that they can save 2 to 3 thousand bucks a month, like who cares, like I don't care who my vendor is. I'm going to cancel all and I'm going to move on to something different. That's just the nature of the game. So you can go to these guys and you can then say, hey, I have a brand new distribution. What are the chances we can kind of work together on this? I get a higher referral fee or a referral fee. People come through and then we can work together on this. So that is the nature of this setup as of right now. So people, like, you should be riding the wave. So like pretend this is a wave, right? And this is you. And unless you can build the software and the infrastructure and you know how to brand and market, you should be taking a surfboard and you should be riding this wave as fast as possible. Because like what are you going to do? If you don't understand how to generate 10,000 inboxes for 1,000 USD, you're just not going to win, because other people are doing this. And if they can sign on a client, and let's say they on like with their clients, they can send nearly, let's see, what is the number? They can send nearly 10x the amount of volume as you for one client. They're going to get better results. They're going to get better case studies inside of the market, and they're going to have higher margins. And it's like you physically, it's very difficult to compete with that with something like this. So this leads to my next point, which, yeah, where you should be building a bigger distribution channel or direct to line distribution channels with people or people within the market. So you can go to these people and you can say, hey, if this is the full market right now and you have this chunk, right? And this entire chunk here, you don't have access to, but I have access to them. then let's talk about this. Let's see what we can do here. So, um, so yeah, so you should be building your brand or your funnel as much as humanly possible and creating a direct to line distribution base. And like this is what I'm doing with. We have a WhatsApp group right now with I think around 100 people, or is it? I think it's around 60 or 70. I think it's the email newsletter. It has around 100 people, and that's growing by itself. Like 5 to 10 people per day, depending on how much I'm advertising. And this gives me direct distribution to these specific people that, let's say, their criteria, they would love to learn how to do this. And yeah, so basically, like, this is why. So I don't know if you know, but we run mtos.com and slash leads. You can come to this site, and we have 11 million leads open source as of right now. We have 2 pages, which is funny because we broke Framer. And basically, you're able to come in here and download as many leads as you want. It's completely open. But we then have a funnel build out where we try and get the email, we get the WhatsApp, and we try and provide value regarding like daily updates as much as humanly possible. If this is something you're interested in, have a look. But to back to my point, right? So you want to build your distribution base, your top of funnel as much as possible. And then once you have a large enough distribution, you can then just go to these people and it's like, hey, like we can do this. We can build this out for you. The software, the tech stack, everything. Whatever you're thinking right now. So this is the structure. You need to understand. And then the next question is the like truthfully the honest question is like, okay, what is the next step of the process? Like what happens after this? So we were working with a client, like we implemented this exact thing. Not like even just selling the mailboxes, but building out the infrastructure for them so they can create the mailboxes and they can save a ton of cost. And they went from 500,000 to 2 million email sends per month, and they cut costs by in and around 50 to 60%. So their monthly bill was around 5 to 7,000, and we cut that down to about 2.1. So we were able to significantly reduce their cost per inbox by a massive margin while increasing sends. And this is what I mean. Like business owners, there will always be owners in the market where they say, "Oh, this is like I now know this because the cost of the information, like once you learn something, you don't need to learn it again. So the information cost actually goes to zero. Next is the time cost of actually implementing it, actually understanding what is next on the roadmap. Like how do I put this into my business actually? And then you can say like even on top of it, if a company has 10,000 inboxes or they have 1,000 inboxes, how do I manage all of these inboxes as of right now? Like this is insane. Like managing 10,000 inboxes is not an easy feat that like most people do. So you need to understand that specific knowledge is very useful. So like these people now have the knowledge of how to do this. They just don't want to implement it. And then if you have specific tactics that you have unique tactics, like you need to find a competitive moat where you can base your information off live data. So like one of the things that we're doing at MTOS, which we're gonna be leveraging at some point, is tracking links with Linkla. So we went through. There's a couple of the vendors like Bitly and like that we wanted to track, but we now have stats on. Let's see here. So we now have stats on like the most interesting sites that people seem to want, right? So if I just come into here, wait, where is it again? Analytics. So if I come into here, you'll see that like in the last I don't even know what that is. I think it's the last week. We're like, okay, people want HVAC, but that's the first on the site. It seems real estate, roofers, marketing agencies are super wanted. And then as we start going down, people want less and less of these particular industries. And it's really important to have because this information, it doesn't matter what sophistication of the market you're in. This is always important. There is not a single day in hell where this is not extremely important. So this is basically what I'm kind of noticing in the market right now. If you want to win, first of all, understand like the Microsoft partners, software like development, what people are kind of doing to get this set up. Like just know in the back of your head that this exists. And then what you want to do is, whoa, that zoomed in real fast. My laptop is having a heart attack, I think. And then the next stage of the process is like how do I ride this wave? Like how do I make money from this? Because when money is taken from one part of the market, it's distributed to another part of the market, either into the owner's pockets, the people that are buying, or it's going into your pockets because you're generating some sort of margin in between, and it's leaving the pockets of the people that used to have the knowledge or the setup before that people went to. Very important to understand. Very, very important to understand. So that's kind of it. And then the next question is like, once you've figured out how to make money from this, what's next? I do think that to make money, like to become the software licensing, like you want to be the software licensing, but you like at a certain stage when it exists, there's a certain first movers advantage where they have time cost on people that need to like develop the project. They have the costs associated where like they took the risk and they built it out, and then they built the initial like branding and marketing, and they have the initial user base, which a lot of people do not have. So you need to figure out like what is actually next on the roadmap of like who like what is next, like is it, let's say we have to backdrop companies on, so like let's say we set this up for people, we need to backdrop companies on XYZ. Maybe it's Google and Microsoft is going to take down the infrastructure and we have to have something in place. Maybe it's tracking domains and having some sort of GTM software that's able to actively notify or monitor all of these things or all of these structures. Like maybe it's building out an Airtable system that you can then sell to these people that are doing this software licensing tenants, and they're struggling to track everything. So you build out a software or some sort of implementation that's able to go through and know when something starts going wrong. So this is the general structure. I think like if you don't understand this, your business is going to go under. Because like with everything moving so fast, if you cannot generate, like if you're using this, like you are already basically out of business, like already out of business. It's not even like twofold question on this. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you need free leads at all, check out mtos.com/leads. It says 9 million. I'm just struggling to update this because we're scraping so many. It's up to 11 million as of right now. And yeah, hope you have a great day. Talk to you now. Bye.